after a 128-115 loss at New Orleans. Freudian slip there Saturday night. LeBron James questioning whether his teammates have the experience to handle the challenge ahead and help the team qualify for the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Stephen A., do you have any issue with what LeBron said?
Zero. Nothing whatsoever, because I think he's absolutely positively on the money. If there is an issue to be taken about it, it's the fact that the roster, to some degree, he assembled. Outside of that, there's nothing to say. He was absolutely correct. You've got a whole bunch of guys that are playing without a degree of urgency. I was at the game Thursday night when they played Houston, when they came back and beat Houston on their home turf. Brandon Ingram had a good game that night, 27-13. Last night he had against the Pelicans, he had 29. But the reality is that there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to what they're doing. What's their identity? We don't know. LeBron James doesn't look the same. Kyle Kuzma has tailed off a little bit. Brandon Ingram has amped it up. Rondo, an experienced veteran and a champion, he's not doing but so much. The same could be said for the Tyson Chandlers of the world, Lance Stevensons of the world, and what have you. The rotation that Luke Walton has thrown in there. You've got JaVale McGee, who was playing really, really well for them throughout the season, only playing 16 minutes the other night. It doesn't seem to be any cohesiveness. They don't seem to be on the same page, no identity whatsoever, and the level of urgency has clearly arisen. They're 3 games out of the 8th spot, owned by the Clippers. The Spurs are in the 7th spot. We know they're not going to tail off but so much. All right, the Sacramento Kings are a game out, trying to squeeze in and definitely going for it, and they want the Warriors. They wouldn't mind playing the Warriors in the first round at all. So you look at all of those different things, and it just doesn't seem to be any reason to be confident in what's transpiring with the Los Angeles Lakers right now. LeBron James is acknowledging that. He is not. He is acknowledging it publicly, because what other recourse is there now that the trading deadline has expired? All he can do is call guys out and say, look, this is the moment. We're either going to do it or we are not. We all know Luke Walton is coaching for his job. Chances are he's not going to be back as head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers next year. And you know if they don't make the playoffs, even if they do make the playoffs, there's going to be some changes on the roster. So people are playing for their jobs. And LeBron James, I had no problem with him saying what needed to be said.
I have no problem with what he said literally. If you just dissect what he's talking about these players, of course he's correct. But I do have a problem if we take a step back here and look what he's really saying. Did LeBron go to L.A., Stephen A.? Did he go to the Lakers strictly for basketball reasons?
No.
No. There were reasons other than, and maybe larger than basketball, which is why he chose the Lakers, the glamour destination in the sexiest market for basketball in this country, because of the way the Knicks have been mishandled and because of the history of the Lakers, now helmed by Magic Johnson, you know. He chose reasons other than basketball. It's a risk. That's a risk you're taking. And risk means that there's downside. And what has been presented to him is the downside. Look, the big picture is if he wins 1 championship in the 4 years he signed to the Lakers, it's a success. Here's some downside. He doesn't get that done. Or how about this? You know how he has this string of making the finals every year since, 15 BC, right? Like he makes every year for 1,000 years now. Yeah, that's because he's in the East. The East is weak. Now he goes to the West. He's going to miss the playoffs maybe the first year he's in the Western Conference. And mind you, the West has gone down. The East has come up. The West is not as strong as it used to be. He's in a weaker West than we've recently seen and in real danger of missing the playoffs. Now, I still have faith in LeBron. I think he'll get it done. But you bring up the Kings. Of course, the Kings are coming. You see them ascending. You bring up the Spurs. Spurs go for it all the time. But there was question, would the Clippers be going for it, or would they rather have the draft pick since they're rebuilding? And they're very clear. They're going for it. LeBron's back is up against the wall. It will tarnish his reputation in the moment, if not legacy, if the first year he plays in the Western Conference, he doesn't even make the playoffs. But when he sits there and says the things that are true about the young guys, there will be the reaction by people like me. Time out, LeBron. Now you make a decision for other than basketball reasons to go somewhere. There is downside. Now you're pointing to these kids and saying, they don't know what it takes. Yeah, but we all kind of looked at that when you made that decision and thought, okay, LeBron, but you better bring someone in because that doesn't look like enough. It might not be enough. That's what he's really acknowledging right now.
Well, listen, he might be acknowledging that, but the reality of the situation is what's transpiring is inexcusable. LeBron James, healthy, had them as a top 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference. They were on pace to make the playoffs. They were rolling. He goes down, things fall apart. We get that. He's back. You're talking about defensive assignments missed. You're talking about absence of effort. You're talking about dudes being soft as cottonelle tissue, all sensitive and caught up in their feelings because they were on the trading block or they were rumored to be traded. Get the hell over that. The fact of the matter is you got a job to do. You're supposed to be going out there and doing it. Lonzo Ball not being in there, being able to play defense the way that he is.
Oh, you coming around on Lonzo a little bit?
Not because my knock against Lonzo has never been his defensive prowess and it has never been his overall game. My problem with Lonzo has been his lack of assertiveness, the fact that he wasn't aggressive offensively. I don't think that's worthy of a number 2 overall pick. I still haven't changed my position on that. But I recognize the fact that his length, his athleticism, and his willingness to defend does play a role in their success. All I'm saying is, in the end, if you are LeBron, the kind of things you're pointing out, why are you pointing them out? Because these are the kind of things you should not have to say to professionals. You should not have to tell professionals there's an elevated level of urgency that's required. You should not have to tell professionals, you know what, get on the same page. Now let's be about the business of getting it done as opposed to being distracted and caught up in our feelings.
But he knew who was on that team when he signed. The cavalry's not coming. They did not make a deadline move. They tried. He knew what the team looked like and the type of guys they had on the team when he signed. He didn't sign with the Spurs or the Clippers or someplace like that.
You get there.
He signed with the Lakers. Okay, but that's the reality, and that was an awful loss. The Pelicans without AD. When you are fighting for your life.
Some dude named Kenrich Williams in the start lineup.
Get that win.